Hello, everyone. This is Julia back for another week. I'm joined today with Judy, and we're going to be talking all things Instagram. So I'm going to turn it over to Judy, and she's going to give us a bit of background about what we can assist with, and then we'll open the conversation and see how we can go from there. If you guys have comments or recommendations on what we discussed today, definitely drop them in the comments as well. So Judy, let me turn it over to you and give a bit of background about what you're looking to do.
Okay. Sorry for that little commotion there.
Oh, no
My
worries.
husband and the dog came in and I didn't want a lot of noise, so I just moved to another room. So I have two network marketing companies, and I'm new to the second one. And I'm trying to keep them on separate social media channels for a multitude of reasons. But I'm mainly doing my one on Facebook and the other one on Instagram. And I don't know Instagram very well. So I need to feel better about it, and without being like overly salesy. Like I would much rather market me, like promote my brand me, rather than be associated with a company. Like Judy is this company. Yeah. I want to be Judy. Does that make sense?
It does, definitely. So let's get into that first part. Basically, this is very common. A lot of individuals in network marketing either take on multiple companies or they have a regular business or job, and then they take on a direct sales company. So the situation is pretty common. And then especially when you're with two direct sales companies, they do have strict compliance rules where you can't promote on the same platform. So I've come across that too in my company. I wasn't allowed to promote any other products that could have a conflict of interest with my main product, because let's say that one was FDA approved and one was not. They don't want an overlap or confusion. So that's pretty common. So what I would say is, because your identity has already been established on Facebook and you have your one business there, leave everything the same. For Instagram, and you're trying to pivot over there with that second company, the easiest way to do that, to stay true to yourself, is by establishing what we call the pillars. So have you heard of that before, the pillar method?
I think so, but
okay,
go ahead and expound on that, please.
So basically what it is, it's the easiest way to set up a structure of an account to make it easy on yourself. So what you do is you choose 5 to 7 pillars of your identity. So what you could do is either break it down by days of the week, or you could break it out by actual items that you can talk about endlessly all the time, that I kind of identify you and you want to relate to other people with. So let me give some examples. So for instance, I did mine the days of the week. So Monday, I have Motivation Monday, where I talk about podcasts I like, books I like, authors I like. I talk about things that motivate me, things that inspire me, maybe within my company or outside of my company. Then Tuesday, I do Testimonial Tuesday, where I talk about a product that has helped with hair, skin, nails, clothes, whatever it could be, right? Health. So you talk about the product and you try to solve a problem. Always in testimonials, you work from problem to solution rather than in your face sales. Then on Wednesdays, I like to do Wealth Wednesday. I talk a lot about finance in my Instagram. You know, I've been debt free for 10 years. I try to talk about no spend challenges. So whatever you want to talk about on your Wednesday, people do Woman Crush Wednesday, Workout Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday. So whatever you could do in that space to always have something to communicate with on Wednesdays. On Thursday, that's when I talk about my business. So I talk about, if there's a promotion to join my team, or just what my team is doing. If we have an activity coming up, in person, online, whatever it is, that's when I devote to the business part. On Friday, I usually talk about family. So Family Friday, Fun Friday, Freedom Friday, anything you could talk about. If you have recipes, talk about that. So that's Friday. Saturday and Sunday is usually free for all for me because I don't technically always need to plan something out. But that's kind of how the pillar strategy goes if you do it days of the week. What I like about days of the week is what I do at either the end of the month or beginning of the month is I print out a blank calendar. And because I know everything is Motivation Monday, I do, okay, the first Monday is going to be about a podcast. The second Monday is going to be about a book. The third Monday is going to be about a movie, right? Something that motivates me. Then I go down the Tuesdays, this product, that product, that product, etc. And that way you could build out your whole calendar. You could start thinking of captions, you could start thinking of pictures, etc. And on Instagram, once you establish your pillars can also be your highlights. So now whenever you post in your stories about wellness, that's your highlight about wellness. You post in your stories about family, that's your highlight about family. So that's the method for pillars by week or by day. So then the other pillar strategy is just pick 5 to 7 things that inspire you, motivate you, or define you. Family, travel, books, Friday, or I mean, not Friday, family. So basically anything that defines you that you could talk about all the time. If it's recipes, if it's travel, if it's pets, if it's, church, if it's anything like that, that really can define you, you can have those as your pillars and work that into your Instagram strategy. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And how do you find that? Do you think that you can find those 5 identifying things that you can talk about that can really build out that Instagram for you?
Yeah, I can. I mean, I've bulleted out before, like what what is my things. All right. So
Mhm,
it is cooking, it is travel, it is
mhm,
family, it's wellness.
mhm,
Um, I mean, I'm over 60, so many of my friends, and not all, but many of my friends are in
mhm,
the same age group. So we're all going through a lot of menopausal issues. So
mhm.
menopause, when I post about different menopausal things, I get a lot of feedback from it.
Yeah.
So those are things that I know that I'm going through, but I know there are others too. So
Mhm.
I can relate to people on those levels. My background is as a nurse, so I have that to rely on too. So I come with credibility when I
Yeah.
talk about stuff like that.
Oh, that's great.
Any kind of health issues, really.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, what I would suggest is first doing the pillars. Think about those things, limit it to the 5 to 7. I wouldn't go anything over. The reason is because you'll end up running out of one of those. Like, let's say that you picked recipes, for instance, and then all of a sudden you just ran out of recipes and then that vanished, but you had a group of followers that were always following your recipes, right? So the reason that we pick the pillars is we pick things that can identify with other people, that they can connect to us with and expect it. So for instance, my Wealth Wednesday gets more attention than anything on my Instagram. I offer tips, tricks, budgeting, ideas for how to finance related. I'm just trying to think of something that I offered recently. So basically what I do is every single month at the beginning of the month, I buy a $50 gift card. And then during the holidays, birthdays, whatever activity, I always have gift cards throughout the year. But technically I only spent $50 a month. So
Right.
I have a repository of gift cards. So I offer tips and tricks. And what I noticed is people come back to my Instagram for those tips and tricks. So if you can start relating to people, it's almost like your own TV show or your own spotlight where you really relate to people and they come back for more. And you start noticing that, you start noticing the trend of what they come back for. But I always try whatever is highlighted or whatever is getting the most activity, that's where I bring my business in. So for instance, I would do a disservice to my business if on that Wealth Wednesday, I didn't sometimes incorporate my business into it too. So, for instance, I'm doing a no spend challenge right now, and I always highlight the fact that I'm doing no spend from anything that I make in my day job, but I use my side business money to pay bills, mortgage, etc. So I tend to get a lot of questions like, well, what's your side business? How are you paying all this from that? So that incorporates that in. So that's my big suggestion too, is find your pillars, but always incorporate in your business in subtle ways. Another example of that could be, let's say that you're with a wellness product and you highlight recipes, use your products in those recipes. If you have a protein powder, make a smoothie once a month or once a week and really highlight products in your recipes. Or if your recipe is great for, let's say there's collagen in it and it's great for bones or collagen or cartilage, whatever it could be, then you can highlight that there too. So always relate it back. So you'll start noticing which posts get the most engagement, and those are the posts that you want to bring your business into again.
Okay.
Do you think there's any of your pillars that you're thinking of where you can't relate back your business, or you might have a struggle with that we can brainstorm?
No, I think that they can all relate because having a side hustle makes those things easier to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially for things like travel, if your company offers travel, or you're just able to have that time freedom. That's a big thing. You know, whenever you travel, highlight the fact that if you work this side business, you have that freedom. You don't have to take paid time off. If, for instance, you know, you have to stay home because you had a COVID exposure or a family member did, then you can highlight the fact that it's not a burden from a day job, things like that. So there's always ways to bring in your business to whatever you're doing. So let's talk about right now on your Instagram. Are you starting from scratch with your Instagram? Do you already have an Instagram out there?
I have an Instagram, and because I was doing the other business on both of them, I had to go in and do a massive cleanup.
Okay.
And so I took a lot of stuff out, a lot of not all of it. I figured there's got to be a cutoff point where you can go forward. But I took out a lot of my highlights and want to redo those. So yeah, so I have an Instagram. I need to get more regular with it, need to get more consistent with it, need to redo my highlights. I also want to make them look better. Like I don't want my my Instagram to, or any social media, to look like I got spaghetti and threw it at the wall. Like, because you look at some, like if you go back, I sent you some images that I liked about people, and it's all like, it all looks pretty. It all looks like if you go and look down at all of their posts from like a month, it all like blends together. And then some other people, it's just like a mishmash. And I'd rather it be like going forward to look prettier, if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah, it does. And there's a lot of things that you can do for that. So this all draws back to the pillars. Honestly, the best way to make things look consistent is by having a plan. So for next month, because right now we're at the end of January, so this is an exercise you could do before February. Lay down what you want to do as your pillars for those February days. So February 1st, I want to talk about this, 2nd, 3rd, etc. And then think about pictures you could put with it. So there's a couple apps that I recommend that really will help you do that uniform layout. So the first one is Tezza, Tezza. So Tezza puts a common filter on everything. So you can dump in 100, 200 pictures, whatever it is. There's real no limit in there. And then you can go ahead and put the same exact filter over everything. So this is something that you could do. You don't have to necessarily do it. The nice thing about that is that no matter who comes to your page, even if you don't have things that look complementary, it all looks exactly the same. So that's nice. So that's Tezza. It's free. You don't have to pay for that. There's certain filters in there that you do have to pay for. I would just find one that's free, right? That's the easiest way. And then the other thing that I would suggest is an app called Preview or Later. So it's just spelled Preview, Previeu, and then Later, Later. So both of those apps are basically scheduling tools for Instagram. So what you could do is put in, let's say 60 pictures at a time, 30 pictures at a time, and then you can arrange them in different order. So you can see, okay, in this one I'm wearing purple, and this one has like purple hibiscus or something like that, and it's complementary. So that's something really nice where you can start playing with the look of Instagram, as well as like maybe a common filter if you have that already from Teza. The other thing that's really nice about those apps is you can go in, let's say that you're super inspired one morning, and you can caption as many pictures as you want. So you can put all the captions, all the hashtags, all the location settings, everything in there. So basically what I do is I build my content the first of every month, let's say, or the end of whenever I find time. I don't have a specific date, but I build the next 30 days out. I caption everything, have all my hashtags. Then every single morning, I just click edit or post, and it goes right to Instagram, which is really nice because now you cut down not only the thought process of what am I going to post that day, but you can also spend more time on the back end doing engagement, which is really what matters. And that way also now you're consistently posting.
But you
So
have to
then
go in every day and physically push it out, right?
yeah, the reason that
Okay.
you do that is because Instagram does have a couple settings. So those settings don't translate over to these other apps, especially if you use the free versions. But
Mhm.
I mean, it'll take you literally a minute each morning to go in and hit publish. And that way you could publish straight to Instagram. You can make sure everything looks okay, all your hashtags are in, and then just go from there. But what I really like about those is it really streamlines the Instagram experience. You no longer have to think every day, what am I going to post? Now you're not posting consistent times of day, etc. Or you skip days in between. So that really is a big thing to help. The other thing you mentioned were highlights. So the key way to get highlights to look good is have one consistent picture, either the same picture or different pictures, but just have a highlight cover is what they call it. You could design one in Canva. You could just take a regular picture. If you like, if you look at mine, I just have pictures of the sunset or sunrise. So I'll alter which ones are sunset, sunrise. And then it just looks all uniform. It makes it blend in. I live in the beach cities, so it fits. It's just something that fits you. So let's say you have travel, you could even do icons. So for travel, you could have a suitcase. For family, you can have a little stick figure family. So if you want to do more like icons or images, you could do that as well. But it just looks really uniform. It cleans up your Instagram very nicely. And it also defines what that highlight is. So no one's wondering what's in there. When you name highlights, I would suggest making sure that it fits. So don't have it cut off. So for example, if you have one long word, let's say travel abroad, well, abroad won't fit. So it just like looks like travel AB, right? So you want it to look all uniform, and you want it to fit. That really cleans up highlights as well.
Okay.
So do you think that's something you can do? Look into these apps and really get your content together? Do
Yeah,
you have any
I love
struggles with
Canva. I've
Canva?
been using Canva for a while, and
Oh, good.
yeah, I like that. I was using oh, I can't remember the app.
Mhm.
It was one that you recommended a while ago, but it wasn't oh, Share. Maybe that was one of them that I was using. But it wasn't really posting, or it wasn't posting
Okay.
correctly. So um I stopped using it.
Okay.
But I haven't I'll have to look and see if I looked at preview yet. It sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
Yeah, Preview and Later are both free. So what I like about all the apps is they always have a free version which does the basic stuff. And then if you want to get more advanced, like scheduling stories, etc., then you can pay for it. But even if you pay for it, it's not super expensive. I think Teza is $9.99 a year. Preview is the most expensive because there's a lot of analytics that can go with it on the back end. So for example, I think Preview is 150 a year. But what you can get out of that one is, let's say that you do a lot of sponsored posts. So for example, a company pays you to post their their workout drink, you can see all your statistics on how many people clicked links because of that, how many people purchased, etc. So if you don't need any of those advanced analytics, I wouldn't pay for any of these apps.
Okay.
The other thing that I would suggest is, I haven't looked at your Instagram yet, but how is your bio laid out? And does your bio somehow express that you're giving an offer? So an offer of joining the business, buying the product, a freebie that you offer, information that you offer. Do you convey that anywhere in your bio?
I have a Linktree link in there, and
Okay.
then within Linktree, I have links in there.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely suggest let's revisit your bio sometime. So send me and put in the comments once we post this video your Instagram, and we can look at that. But basically what I would suggest for bios is, you sent me a lot of good examples of other people's that you wanted to replicate, and I noticed that their bios were pretty consistent too. So typically a bio gives details about who you are and why people want to relate to you. So it's typically where you are, who you are, what you're doing, what you offer, and then your link. And then sometimes there could be a call to action, or a basically a, what did I call it? I don't even remember, but it's basically someone, like a designation. So like you said, you're a nurse. So that would be something to call out, because now you have that credibility, right? So if you are talking about things that potentially are health related, that offers a credibility, right? So you want to draw things in like that. But I would definitely suggest where you are. The where you are is key, especially sometimes in our business. If you go down the rabbit hole with marketing to people that aren't in your location or can't buy your product, that could definitely not be that great. The other thing is, sometimes you want to have that local community or local team, and that can draw people to you. So that's where you are. Who you are is what you want to draw people in. So this is where you use those pillars to identify what relates to you, but you also want to draw them in from your bio. So you could say things like love to travel, health conscious. I'm trying to think, you know, you could even put like in my 60s, whatever you want to put, right? So who you are and how you want to relate to people. So that could draw in. Nurse is a great one. Let's say you were a teacher, put teacher. Let's say that you were a fire wife, put fire wife. So anything that you want to relate to people, that's in your who you are section. Then you can have your credibility, where you put nurse, you could put health coach, life coach, business expert, whatever it is, right? So you put that there, and then you put your offer. So a lot of times what we do is, even though you have that link tree, you want to grab people in your bio to click that link tree. So right now you just have it there, right? Do people know to click it?
I'm
So yeah,
not sure. Like,
okay.
if people that know what Linktree is would know
Yeah.
to click it, right?
So what I would do in your bio is think of and brainstorm ways to get people interested in clicking that link. So a call to action would be something like, or an offer would be 5 easy recipes for bloating, or you know, health assessment, quick 5-minute health assessment. So whatever it is, you can offer a link, or join my community. That's even a call to action to click your link, right? Join my community of active seniors. I don't know, whatever it could be. So whatever it is, you want them to be enticed to click that link. So a lot of times a free offer can be a Facebook group. If you have a Facebook group running, it could be an upcoming event. Let's say you have a virtual party coming up. So join the party, join the fun. That's a call to action. So whatever you're doing in your bio, have that last line right above the link, something that entices them to click the link to learn more, because now they're going to be clicking the link. One of the statistics that is captured in those paid preview or later, if you pay for it, is how long people spend on your Instagram. So the longer someone spends on your account, the more engagement you're getting. So if you have really good highlights that take people through a progression, if you have a feed that looks uniform or structured, or really good content, you have active stories, you have a link that people click, that builds up the time that people spend on your profile. So I did pay for the preview version for a while, and I noticed that the average person, when I first started all this engagement and actively really doing my Instagram, I think it was like 15 seconds is what they spent on my feed. It ended up going up to 4 minutes. So the average person would spend 4 minutes on my profile, looking at my stories, reading through my highlights, looking at my feed, clicking my link. The nice thing about other links rather than Linktree. So Linktree just has the links. Does it have a bio feature now?
No.
I can't remember if they added that. So if you ever get a chance to upgrade from LinkedIn to something else, you could look at Milkshake or Campsite. The reason for those is rather than opening up to a long list of links, it opens up to a bio. And now you can write paragraphs about yourself. I'd say 1 to 2. And what's really nice about that is that still keeps people on your profile because it was an active link from your Instagram. So once they deactivate that link and go back, it automatically puts them back to your Instagram profile, which is nice. But that bio feature allows them to know even more about you. So now they get into that whole thing about looking at your bio, reading about who you are, knowing your links, studying your pillars. So it's all taking people on a journey and really relating to people. And that's how you can get really, people have to know, like, and trust you. That's what we always say with direct sales, is once they get to know you, like you, and trust you, that's when you can start marketing your business to them. And if you do it subtle ways through all of your pillars, that's going to be the best way to get that activity.
Okay.
So I know we're running low on time. Is there any other question that you have? I definitely want to touch base with you again. So let's contact each other, stay in contact, work through kind of your layout, your plan, or your pillars, and then we can regroup.
Sounds good.
Great. Any other last questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Okay,
I appreciate it.
of course.
All right,
All right,
great.
bye.
Bye.